Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 40K Fireside podcast. I'm David Gaylard, and I'm joined by my good friend Vijay. Together, we discuss 40K and the meta from our perspective, along with events we've recently been to and those that have got coming up. So come on down to the fireside and listen. Come on down and listen. Episode 59?
59, you got it.
59. I was looking up on YouTube.
I smashed it.
With the intro music.
Just in time, mate.
Oh, man. We are back. Back at it, man.
That's
Jeepers. It's been a pretty hectic 5-6 days. Well, for you in particular, it's been a hectic probably 2 months, hasn't it? But kind of everything has been resolved. We've played the WTC. This year, the WTC, I think, was better than the last year in terms of organization. Just all of the little quality of life improvements I think they made as well at the tournament. What do you think year on year?
Definitely. And I think because it's our second year going, we're obviously going in with less of a shock factor. We know the venue, it was in the same place as last year. So Mechelen in Belgium is absolutely beautiful. But after 1 year of experience, you really know exactly where you need to eat, how to manage the hot weather and the walking in the morning. So I think it was really, really comfortable for us this year, wasn't it, Dave?
Yeah, I guess for both of us, we're probably like trying to improve a lot, right? Not get taken off guard. I know that, I mean, at least that was not taken off guard. But that was it for me as well, you know. I had a lot of lessons learned that I wanted to put into practice. So, yeah, it was nice to come at it from the point of view where you can just go and focus on playing your games, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, and for you guys, obviously, it's kind of a building year. Last year was your very first year, and you jumped up from seed 4. So there's 4 seeds and kind of 10 teams split up across those. And you were kind of start off in the 4th seed, which everyone starts on if they're a new team. And we've got a bunch of new teams this year jumping into seed 4. And you guys jumped all the way to seed 2, so in the top 20.
Yep.
So it's a big jump and a big kind of build for you.
Yeah, and so we had 5 out of 8 new players this year as well, which was really exciting. And a bunch of we had returning coach from France, Gabby, who filled in as our coach last year, and we re-invited him to come again this year to coach for us, which he was fantastic. And we had Charlie, who was coaching but playing last year. So yeah, we had 4 coaches this year, which made the world of difference, man. Oh my word. It was just an absolute dream to have someone ask you if you needed a water. You know, do you want it? They had a tray that the guys would bring around with some bananas and snacks and stuff on it. It sounds like you're living a lavish life, but really, I mean, you're you're running on little sleep and all adrenaline and coffee. So little things like that make a world of difference. You know?
Absolutely, and I think we're still a little low on energy as we're recovering. We only got back like last night, I think. And the event only ended on the weekend. But I mean, if you haven't seen our last episode, we do a really good coverage of exactly what we're running in our teams. But as a quick recap, Dave, what was your team comp and what were you bringing?
Yeah, so Team New Zealand at a high level, I guess, because it's a little bit hard to describe in the detail. But we had 2 swords, which was myself and Jonty Larson, who were our primary pushers. Now Jonty was playing the double monolith Silent King Necrons, and I was playing the triple Mulith Beast, triple Disc, triple Infernal Master T-Suns list. And actually, if you haven't listened to the last episode, I would stop now and listen to that, because everything we talk about will probably be really pertinent to what we're going to talk about in this episode as well. So we had myself and Jonty as the pushers. We had Finn Decker as captain this year, who did an absolutely amazing job. So he was incredible. We had Dan Hayden, who I'd never met in person, playing Tyranids for us as a first defender. We had Michael Taylor playing Sisters, Bringers of Flame, great guy. Alex Taus playing World Eaters, which he's super comfortable on. And then we had Cam Wilkinson playing the Grey Knights. Oh, and then we also had Hayden Karash, who is our spiritual leader.
Oh, wow.
Our Kaumatua for the team playing Eldari. The Weaver of Fates himself. Yeah, so we had kind of 2 defender, 2 pushers, and then a bunch of stuff in between there as well, I would say, at a high level.
Yeah, very nice. And
what about England?
I mean, for Team England, our team was kind of split into 4 people who were trying to push some positive scores. And then we had 3 people who were trying to hold the line. And then we had 1 kind of little list in the middle, which was praying. And that list that was praying in the middle was our captain, Tony Chu, running the Eldari, with a little bit of an anti-vehicle skew just to try and force people in pairings in one direction or another. Something that you can really do in teams, which maybe doesn't work so well in singles. So that particular list, I wouldn't translate very well well into singles, but the rest of our lists, I think they all translate well into singles.
Yes.
The 4 lists that were kind of pushing for positive scores was myself on the Thousand Suns. The list stays pretty much the same as it has for a year, and the concept remains the same on our one. We didn't really innovate too heavily. And then we've got Nassim Fouchain on the 18 Bulgarian guard. No indirect, lots more pushing forward pieces. So his
Yep.
list was able to push slightly higher scores.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had Manny Chima on the Blood Angels, again skewed heavily into the power armor. We had Chris Kinnair on the Bringers of Flame, Sisters of Battle, which is a very, very powerful list. And then we had 3 people who were kind of holding the line here. So we had Boris Mitchev and Christopher Radford from Team
Mm-hmm.
Side, playing Chaos Space Marines and Grey Knights, respectively. Boris had a really cool list with the Triple Accursed, and he was the only player playing Packbound. And Chris Radford was playing a full kind of infantry skew on the list with no Dread Knights. So again, a little bit of innovation on that side of things for us.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Harrison is our last list, playing the Leagues of Votan, the most standard type of 40k you can play. It's, you know exactly how far it's going to move, you know exactly what it's going to do. It's
Yep.
just there to try and get a 10-10.
Yep. Pop AOC, 0 up save.
That's it.
Hold
Try and
tight.
survive till the end of the game.
Yeah. Do you think, in retrospect, would you change, because so obviously a bit of different mentality there. We had two pushes, 2 clear pushes, 2 clear defenders, and a bit of mix in the middle. You guys obviously had more pushes and more defenders and less all comers. Do you think that worked out well for you?
Well, the idea was that me and Nas could revert into kind of a problem solver,
Okay. Yep.
because we generally have good matchups across the board, and we could try and give Chris Kinnair with the Sisters of Battle and Manny the best matchups.
Yep.
As players, they're probably a little more aggressive than me and Nas. And we were hoping that they could push the higher scores, and then I could solve the problems, and Nas could just confuse people, because people maybe would not understand exactly how he would play the list. I think he had, in my mind, he had the best chance of catching people out.
Yes.
And being like, oh my God, that is not what I expected to happen in this game.
Yeah. Those Bulgren move 9 inches, but you'd be really surprised how many people don't pre-measure that.
It's also the layers of stuff that come at you in Nassim's list.
Yeah.
It can be very surprising.
It's very fast. It's a lot faster than it looks.
I mean, with the T-Suns, I would say that, I feel like I could play a momentum game against most of these guard lists that we saw at the tournament. But then you play against Nassim's and you're like, there's like 20% more stuff running at you. And your resources just started to dwindle a little bit. And Nassim managed to punish T-Suns a fair bit at this event. So fair play to him. He came up with, in my opinion, our best list in the lineup.
Ooh, big call. Nice.
I think so.
Yeah, fair enough.
What about you guys?
I think we probably we haven't had the full debrief of the team yet. I take you guys.
Neither have we.
Either. But I think our Blood Angels list probably could have had a bit more teeth in it. We kind of went for a Blood Angels list that lacked it. We had 3 transports, fights first, and we thought the meta would be slightly more melee heavy, and that would really pay off. But what it kind of meant was that people weren't as scared of it. So our Blood Angels was easier for people to pair against than it was for our team to pair into Blood Angels. We kind of consistently found that. Eldari was good on pairings, but I think a lot more difficult to execute on the table as well.
Yeah.
The 15 Scourges, I don't know how many times during the pairings you said 15 Scourges, but it was, okay, does it have 15 Scourges? Then 3 people on your team would immediately go, I'm not playing that. So, yeah, that was it for us. I quite liked our Grey Knight player, Cam Wilkinson, played the Drago and 10 Terminators, and actually that worked out really well for us. Then we also had Alex Taus playing World Eaters, which I think World Eaters is actually quite a good pick in hindsight, because it can actually play quite a stable game and play for those drawish games, but it also has the chance to put the foot on the gas at any point in time. So you've played like a game where you can stage turn 1, and then maybe the coaches will come around and give an estimate. And then if a player needs to push, the World Eaters is an army that can fulfill that role of needing to push all of a sudden, which can get you into a round, i.e. being able to draw a round, or it can give you the push capability of maybe, if you're on the high side of a draw, pushing so that you can get a round win without pulling it out of a draw range, I found. So quite impressed with the World Eaters. I thought it was a better army than I thought it was. And then sisters, I think our player Michael thought that maybe afterwards he would have rather have played Hallowed Martyrs
Hmm.
instead of Bringers of Flame. And I think,
Oh, what a hot take. That's the
yeah,
spicy one.
yeah, he was
All
kind
right.
of unimpressed with sisters, and I think
Mm.
sisters didn't live up to the hype as much as I thought they would as well, personally.
So, Hallowed Martyrs gives you a few different tools, right?
Mm,
It gives you the ability to resurrect your characters and also create some anti melee components into your list.
hmm
I think I can understand that because if your Bringers of Flame list is not set up, either because of the player that you have, it's not their playstyle, which I think it's not a lot of people's playstyles actually,
mm,
or just the way you use it in pairings, it's not set up to go out and try and get positive scores.
hmm
I think you generally will do better with a more defensive playstyle. And I think
mm.
the Hallowed Martyrs would probably have provided that if you wanted to hold for tens.
Yes, and it allows you to attack gunline lists as well because
Hmm.
of the character resurrection
Oh,
component.
yes,
So
absolutely.
that's kind of nice too. So yeah, it like I mean, like everything in teams, it depends on the rest of your team composition, I think. But I found that the sisters lists can be very inconsistent at times.
Hmm.
Does the Melter go through? Doesn't it? Well, I was playing Meadless Vortex Beast, so yeah, I mean, it's basically a roll of the dice at that point. But yeah, I was a little bit underwhelmed with it. What was your guys' experience with sisters? Because you
You
were
see,
obviously playing the 30 Seraphim, right?
yeah, actually, the most consistent thing in Sisters is probably the Seraphim because
Yeah.
you roll a higher volume of dice, so it kind
hmm
of flattens the curve a little bit for you.
Mm,
So I think that reduced the inconsistency that you can get with a lot of these builds that are relying on Melter to go through.
mm,
Now there is a very high amount of Melter, and the Miracle dice do flatten the curve a little bit for you. But you're absolutely right. With minimal rerolls, it's highly swingy.
Yep.
I personally would lean on the side that the Seraphim are probably one of the strongest units in the index,
hmm
because even if you don't play a pushy play style, the defensive capabilities that you get to the way that you want to play the game with a 170 point Seraphim unit is brilliant.
Mm,
Being able to advance 21 inches and then Fire and Fate 6 is the world's most annoying move block to do in the world.
yep.
And the unit is much better at doing that if it doesn't have characters attached to it.
Yep.
What I think a lot of Sisters players probably would have found is that their big 10 Seraphim brick, of which they usually only had one, was often attached with the Faith and Fury
Mm,
Canoness. And suddenly the unit is looking at kind of almost a 300 point unit,
hmm
which is a very different prospect to throw away compared to a 170 point unit.
Yeah. 170, you're happy to kill something, move block, and then Overwatch, and then just let
Exactly.
it die.
Absolutely. That is huge value out of 170
Mm,
points. So I think there's a level of efficiency that is maybe missing from the Bringers of Flame lists across the
mm,
board. And I don't even think necessarily the one that we had was perfect. Chris Canero obviously played it quite well and he got a really solid score. Albeit I agree with you, Dave, his scores were a little unpredictable. They were going up and down based on little changes in the game.
mm.
Whether that's a player thing or a list thing, it's hard to analyze until we've had our full debrief, to be honest.
I tell you what, though, and so just for context, guys, Vic and I, New Zealand and England, we're playing different levels of teams, so to speak. But we did finish relatively close, but we'll get onto that later. Uh, I don't know about you, but when we were doing the matrices at lunchtime, depending who we were playing against, as soon as the sisters list had Valgon suits in it, everyone's matrix went up 0.5. Everyone in my team just found that so much easier to play against when they had the Valgons. It's a 400-point unit that can, you just know where it is. You can either screen it or whatever like that. So I was a big fan of our list not playing Valgons, and I think that
Mhm.
was probably the choice.
I
If you look at
agree.
which sisters list did well over the course of the tournament.
Yeah. Oh, is that actually correlate quite nicely?
I don't know, but France obviously didn't play sisters. But of the top teams, I don't think many of them actually did play the Valgons.
Yeah.
Now Mason obviously had the 2x3 Paragon War suits, which is different from, I guess, investing all into one unit.
Still 210 points,
Mm,
though, which is a
yep.
lot. And I would actually agree. I mean, it's become a meme in the sisters community, me and my dislike for Val and the Paragon War suits, because I've always thought that they're too expensive for what they provide, and you'd be better off getting two resources that achieve the same thing instead of them.
hmm
The problem is they are an absolute hammer. And I
mm,
think if you have some level of skill advantage, you can push a higher differential because this one unit can win you the game.
yep.
You said that we're playing at different levels, but actually, really, we're kind of roughly in the same level of playing against all very good players all the way through this tournament now.
Yeah.
And I think the Volgons do drop off the higher the play skill of your opponent, and
100%.
that completely correlates with your matrix scores improving, and ours did too.
Yeah, I described them as a bit of a noob crusher.
They are.
So, yeah, I mean that's our team comps. So,
Oh, what about
Vic,
your list? Did you mention that?
oh, my list. Yeah, my list. Well, you can listen to the previous episode where I talk about my list. But no, I was obviously very happy with my list coming into the tournament, and yeah, so I was playing 3 Megalith Beasts, 3 Sorcerers, 3 Infernal Masters, Magnus, 10 Cultists, 2 Spawn, 15 Rubrics, and yeah, Forbidden Law, Umbrella Crystal as well, and 3 Megalith Beasts if I didn't mention that, and I man, I'll be honest with you, I just steamrolled everyone I played. It was kind of brutal. So, but there's a lot of context to that. Maybe let's go through the results first, and that'll.
Oh, can I not spoil it? Can I not
Oh, you don't want
spoil?
to spoil it?
Can I
Okay.
spoil? Can I spoil something?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Yeah, I want to spoil this because I'm so proud of you, Dave. Because it's actually cool as anything, man, to come out of the WTC and being the #1 ranked player in terms of player rankings. The player rankings are done on win-loss draw, and so Dave got a clean 7 wins across the board. They were all big wins, and he got 118 points out of 140. Now, you guys who are listening, if you haven't been to WTC or played at this level, it is insane to do that. So, massive
Yeah.
congratulations to you, man.
Thank you, man. Yeah.
That is a very big achievement.
Thank you, man. Yeah. And congratulations to Olivier Weiss, who scored 122 points
Oh,
with his
yes.
Black Templars list, the list of the tournament, undeniably, I think. But he did cop a draw, so that's the way the cards shuffle up on that one. So Olivier technically got 4 more points than me, but I technically went undefeated.
Yep.
Nevertheless, I'd be happy to even take second if I'm being honest. So yeah, to preface that, I was often in our team. We 100% gave me pairings priority every single round. So my matrix was often I don't think almost ever had something worse than a 3, but it was
3 is a draw.
3 is a draw, yeah, for me.
Yeah.
3 3 4 4 4 4 4. So I was just looking to play against 4s on my table pick. So I was either often I think I might have third defended 5 out of 7 games, and then attacked once, and then attacked or was refused in the last. So for those that don't play a lot of teams, the third defender position as the strongest army in the game is basically the hardest thing to go into attack, because the matrix will have so I would only have a third defend if, for example, there wasn't more than 1 draw as well, right? So every single time we put me down as defender, I knew I was guaranteed getting a 4 on my matrix, and the team oftentimes knew that they were putting a 2 forward into me. So I would have my board. I could pick pretty much any table, because the list plays on any table. And depending on the matchup I was playing against, I might want a ruin that touches the side of the mat, for example, touches the board edge to screen reserves, or I might want something more open, where I could just put a Mutalith Beast and they would have to come in and play against me. So yeah, I had the most amount of layups, so to speak. I was expected to hit the biggest wins on our team. It was nice to come away and achieve that. That's for sure. I think I tabled one opponent on turn 4, and then I tabled another opponent on turn 5 was the fastest. 2 opponents on turn 5 was the fastest, I think. Despite me tabling my opponent on turn 5, my Tyrannid opponent still scored 35 secondaries in 4 turns and got me a 14. So that was my lowest score. But no, thank you, man.
That's sick, man.
It's a nice achievement. And there's people may look at, oh, it's David playing against mid-table opponents, for example, and there's a big skill gap difference. But the reality is it's not always like that.
Not at all.
Oftentimes, people they played against, their captain had already told them to play for 3 or 4 or 5 points, and they would sit in their deployment zone and try and get 5 points. So that's kind of the games that you're going into playing. I found a lot of the time. So my list enabled me to do that role a little bit better. And that's not to say that it was the best Thousand Suns list. I think it was the best at that role. But whether that's the role for your team is another point
Gosh.
entirely. Yeah.
I wasn't quite so protected in my pairings because oftentimes I was the only one who was like an answer to certain things, particularly the melee matchups,
Mm,
or other T-Suns.
right. Yeah.
No one else could play against those, so
hmm
I often found myself kind of attacking into those, so they were getting board pick
Yep.
and coming a little bit of a getting a little bit of a challenge sometimes. So
No, for sure. And we, for example, I obviously had most of my matrices looked about 3.5 in the mirror.
mhm,
But even then, we decided not to play me into the mirror because I
mhm.
think it does have a reasonably big flip component based on first or second there. You almost never want to go first in the mirror, I don't think.
Yeah, but
And so we even
yeah.
tried to avoid something like that just so I could get an even higher chance at a bigger
Absolutely.
blowers.
That'll be an interesting one because I do have the round against Anna,
Exactly.
which is exactly that situation,
Right.
and that'll be interesting to break down.
There we go. I'm going to click it to a little interlude, and then maybe let's talk about the overall results, and then
Mhm.
we'll go through each round. How's it sound?
Yeah, let's do it.
That's probably a bit loud.
Sorry, guys.
Oh dear. I was like, oops. Forgot the volume was that high.
Beautiful.
All right, I'm going to taper it off manually, slowly go down. Oh, now it's stopped.
No,
All
yeah,
right, here we
just
go.
the pause button.
Smooth. Good one, David.
Okay, overall result. Is that what you want to do? Let's jump in, Dave. Your
Overall
personal
result.
record and your team's overall result and placing.
Overall result, and I said it on the last podcast, 12th, I would be expecting. 10th, I would be very happy as the push goal. But 9th, yeah, that's pretty good, mate. So we came 9th overall with 3 wins, 1 loss, and 3 draws. So we were absolutely chuffed. The guys played exceptionally well. We had a little bit of fortunate run at the end there where we played Scotland, spoiler, and then they had to then go on to play Germany and we played Canada. I mean, I'm saying they had to play this, they had to play that, but at the end of the day, we're all playing strong players. So yeah, we came in basically we were the highest seed 2 team by I think
Yeah,
3 or
nice.
4 placings maybe. And I thought we were the strongest seed 2 team going into it. I think that kind of confirms it. And consistently throughout the tournament, we were playing teams from the 8th to 12th kind of range. And we felt like we were in it every time. Some things wouldn't go your way, and then all of a sudden you're playing for a draw. But sometimes you're on the high side of a draw and you're playing for a win. So, no, we were extremely chuffed. But it actually gets better than that. Not only did I win total individual, we came 9th. New Zealand also won despite having me on the team. The most we won the most favorite opponent award, which is the best sportsmanship award, which is it's actually a very hard thing to achieve.
Beautiful.
And we were just not even expecting it in the slightest. So we had 7 out of 7 opponents vote for us. That may have been the first time any team has received 7 votes as well. And it just goes to show you the you just can't be much prouder of the guys flying from New Zealand, playing the game it should be played, having a great time, get along with everyone super well. We didn't have a single incident on any single game of any table. It was an absolute blast. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, winning best sports, I think, is better than placing 9th, in my opinion.
Insane.
Yeah, it was pretty insane run. I didn't think we'd get much better than last year, but it even exceeded that. So, yeah, I mean, but when there's, WTC is a bit of a tournament of you got a lot of people do well, and some teams don't do as well, and yeah, that's the way it goes, right?
Nice. So, in summary, you came in 9th place with 3 wins, 3 draws, and a loss.
Yep.
And that's out of 40 teams, guys.
Yep.
And Dave personally came first in the player rankings with all wins and 118 battle points out of 140.
What about England, though?
On our end, we came in 7th place in the end. We had 4 wins, 2 losses, and a draw in our last round. And individually, I came 14th on battle points with
And
106.
You also came second in Thousand Suns as well.
I did, yeah. I was the next one after you, Dave, in the tournament.
Fireside,
so-
OP, man.
Oh yeah, actually, it was okay. It was good.
Yeah.
And
I mean, 14th is still monstrous, man. Considering you also played the mirror as well, right? Which
I
maybe
did.
if you got 4 more points of differential from playing a green matrix there, then you would have been up at like 8th or 9th, I imagine, right?
Oh, definitely. It was because that was
Yeah,
a loss. That
yeah,
puts me down a fair chunk as well in the actual player rankings. But yeah,
super strong.
it was great, and I managed to break 100 points out of 140, which is quite a big break point in WTC.
Yep.
So yeah, overall, I was really happy with my performance. In terms of the team's performance, we were obviously kind of, if you listen to the last podcast, you saw that we were really aiming for a podium.
Hmm.
That was our aim, and in order to achieve that, actually, we needed two of our results to go up.
Mm,
So it's a lot to ask for here. You can't take two losses and expect to get on the podium.
mm,
So we definitely underperformed and we did worse than last year as an overall ranking.
mhm.
It'll be interesting to analyze that bit with you, Dave.
Yeah, so to recap as well, if you didn't know, France were the winners of WTC, and I think France this year were on another level from
They're
anyone else.
brilliant. Yeah.
They were also had an awesome support staff as well. I don't know if you noticed, but they had this like chef who would come and make sandwiches, with French bread and everything like that.
Hmm.
It was great. They had tons of supporters there. They had tons of French, attire and cultural symbol and motifs and all that stuff as well, which I loved. So they
Yeah.
were great. They also had Alexander Sacco and Hugo, two of our friends as well, playing for
Hmm.
them this year, who previously played for Belgium. So they were outstanding this year. But there were more upsets as well. Spain having arguably its best performance
Oh,
maybe ever
insane.
in
Undefeated.
second place, undefeated, is absolutely wild. Spain obviously drew against England last year, but I think still came ninth or 10th, perhaps.
Mhm. Yeah.
Uh, and to come second is crazy. Then you've got Poland in third with a draw and a loss. And actually, an early contender in the tournament, I think, Sweden, who looked very strong after
Mhm.
getting wins against some other very strong teams, coming in fourth, getting a draw in their last round. I'm not sure who it was, but a loss in their last round. Sorry, I'm not sure who quite it was. But if they had drawn their last round, then they would have been third place as well.
64 looks like it was versus Spain there.
Versus Spain. So I mean that's how well Spain performed as well. That's
Hmm.
incredible. Then you had USA in fifth, which I think a lot of people thought would do better than that, but their two losses are a 72 and a 74. So you need to reach 75 to get a draw. So USA were ever so close to getting a
Mm.
double draw, which is, I mean, there's one way to look at it in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But if you look at it, there's minutia there, isn't there? Really.
Yeah, and they played in that last round versus France there.
Right. Yep. And then we also had Germany in sixth, which I
Mhm.
think was actually a better year for them, actually,
Yes.
because they had a rather underperforming last year. England in seventh. Austria, who I think had arguably a very good tournament, came in eighth. New Zealand ninth. Italy in 10th, which I think that's a big step up for them. Australia in 11th. New Zealand did better than Australia, but a
Mhm.
great bunch of guys. The Netherlands in 12th, and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it was a lot different from last year. I mean, you've still got the same teams, and the top eight, I would say, is relatively the same, isn't it?
Mhm. Just
But there,
reorganized, really.
yeah, but there's some serious shuffle ups there, really,
Mm.
isn't there? Spain and France coming in 1 and 2 position this year is crazy. Well, it's not crazy for France, but I think Spain must be absolutely chuffed.
Absolutely, Dave. So let's rip through our pod phase and give some
Hmm.
shout outs to the teams we played.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, we had
so
such an awesome pod phase, man.
yeah,
But
run
you
through
go.
your pod phase. Go for it.
Okay. The pod phase was awesome. So we had Austria and we had Mexico and Israel.
Mhm.
Now we played Israel round one, and I played the captain Dor versus Aldari. And Israel were a fantastically gentleman team. They were absolutely awesome to play against. An absolutely lovely bunch of guys, I will have to say. So I'm really happy they got to come this year, and it was great to see them play. We then played Mako, which was so much fun. Oh man, I played against a guy called Javier Palmo, and he was on Sisters, and we did a couple of tequila shots all as a big team together after the round, and that was so good. It was like the best tequila I've ever had. The Mexican team, it was their first year here, and they were absolutely awesome. They had Noah Badome playing for them from America, and absolutely lovely guy. These guys were all super cool, and doing shots afterwards was awesome. Then we had Austria. Austria, the big team that we wanted to draw, and a clean draw, 80-80, which was our goal. we almost had it in there for a win at one point, but you know what? Sometimes it's not meant to be. We took some interesting games. Finn Decker played against Sebastian Kipling on his Drakari, and that was one of those roller coaster of estimates. I'm sure you've had one of those this
Mhm.
WTC as well. It's a 4, it's a 10, it's a 15, or whatever like that. I played a guy called Armin Geher, I think his name is, and he was playing Sisters, and we were playing Purge the Foe. My table pick, I went second, 15-5 for me. We basically just sat in the corner and put one unit out each turn. Uh, which was and it was even better when my Mutolith passed 8 out of 8 5-ups. So yeah, the Rapid Ingress Mutolith Beast always paid off me this tournament. But yeah, so we came out of the pod 2 wins and a draw, which was our goal. So we're happy to achieve that. How about England? 3
Nice.
wins, I presume, right?
We did get 3 wins in the
Mhm.
pod phase, and our first round was against China, the seed 4 newcomers to the
Oof.
scene. And actually, China did incredibly well across this tournament. They had a very solid record,
Mhm.
and they had one star player in their team, which
Oh,
was Kifan on his Necrons.
awesome.
And Kifan actually went undefeated across the tournament and won every single one of his games.
Oh, what a beast.
Yeah, he ended on 103 battle points, and in the round where we played against them, he was paired into Tony, our captain,
Mhm.
and he was so incredibly happy when he won that game because
Oh,
he was the only one in their team who managed to get the win, and he was going on, "I won my game." He was jumping
14-6.
around.
What a
Yeah,
beast.
absolutely smashed it. So they were a lovely bunch of people, and I think I'm very excited to see what they do because there's a few other Chinese players out there who are
Mm.
quite good, who I hope
Mhm.
will get more involved.
And
Even in
I would
Mhm,
assume that there's a lot of Chinese expats in overseas as well,
mm,
right? So if you're a
mhm.
Chinese expat, maybe you live in America or Europe or somewhere, get in touch. The Chinese uniform looked awesome this year, and the guys looked
Oh,
like they're having so much fun as well.
yes, I'm very happy I got to get one of those China
Mm,
shirts. So we managed to win that game with a big win, 126 points out of the
nice.
160. And then we moved on to playing South Africa.
Oof.
My game against South Africa, actually, my first 2 rounds were both against World Eaters, attacking into World Eaters, so on their board pick. And my second round was actually streamed on the Glasshammer stream. And I've got
Oh,
to give a
nice.
shout out
Yeah.
to David and Jacob, his
Yep.
brother, who were running the Glasshammer stream and making the content for Team England.
Hmm.
Guys, you have to check out Glasshammer Gaming on YouTube and see the quality of the
The quality.
stream and the little videos that they made around it are so cool and fun.
Dude, they were
Uh,
so good.
they
I
were
was actually
insane.
blown away. I actually messaged David earlier today and said,
Mhm.
mate, the production quality was so good. It was
Nuts.
incredible. And the
Yeah.
photos that I think his brother took
Mhm.
were absolutely awesome. And it's really cool to highlight, Team England, of course, because, that's primary, that's where we play as well.
Mhm.
It's so cool to see the player perspectives as well there, right? I was blown away because I think they've only been streaming for a little while,
Mhm.
but they were killing it, man.
The tech is insane.
Yeah, Tom was casting there as well from Six
Mhm.
Plus 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 as well. So
Yeah, so
awesome.
definitely follow them and subscribe to them because they're going to be following some of the UK major events as well, and that's a big thing people have wanted to see the UK singles streamed at a high
Mm.
quality, like this War Games live level quality.
Hmm.
I think David's right up there, matching or exceeding that quality. So
Yep.
definitely follow that stream, guys. But our round against South Africa actually went a little better than against China in terms of how we got the pairings and got through all the games. My opponent was so nice, Lehan, and we had a real laugh on stream.
Hmm.
So definitely check that game out. In total, we won that game 130-30.
Nice.
Now, round 3 for the seed 1 teams, we end up playing against the seed 2 team, and this is usually the toughest round.
Hmm.
This time we were paired into Ireland, who were an incredibly nice bunch of guys,
Hmm.
and they've got some very talented players kind of tucked inside of their team there.
Mm. Yep.
They overall did really well, and they came, I think, 12th or something,
I'll
13th,
look it up.
something like that on the overall rankings. Um,
13th. Yeah, they did great
13th,
this
yeah.
year.
So they did really well this year. And we were a little worried about this because when you play on Purge the Foe, which is what the mission was, it can be a little swingy in terms of, the kind of matchups and how the scores will actually end up.
Mm.
They also had some lists which seemed really catered for Purge the Foe. They had one GK list with 30 Terminators, and we all had losing games into that list. Um, so we ended up throwing Boris under the bus into that one. He can deal with that. He managed to somehow scrape out a 12-8 win. I have no idea how he did that, but fair play to him. And I managed to play into the Blood Angels, again,
Mhm.
attacking into their melee list just to get that out of the pairings for everyone else. But the board picks weren't too bad for me. I feel like
Mm.
they could have been much worse on all three of the melee matchups I played.
Okay.
Um,
Big
uh,
super L's in the middle of the board, right?
yeah, no one really picked the one with a heavy
Yeah.
middle of the board terrain piece
Yep.
to stage in. They were really picking the sides of the boards and trying to squeeze
Ah.
out points out of me. So I think that's an interesting approach. I think melee armies can push into T-Suns, but
Mhm.
they need the correct terrain piece in the middle of the board to do that.
Yep.
So I played against Michael, and Michael was an awesome opponent. We played on Purge the Foe, and I managed to just about break him at the end of the game and get the 17-3 win there.
Nice.
So that put us in a good position going
You came
through.
out of the pods really stacked, didn't you? You were
Yeah,
like,
2017. I was
yeah,
right up
yeah,
there, man.
insane, dude. There
Absolutely.
we go. Pod face. You guys are obviously feeling pretty good after the pods, right?
We were buzzing. Arguably, I'd say, a weakness that I'd say Team England has is a little bit of overconfidence.
Mm.
We play into so many big singles events here that it can feel like we've got the best players in the world. And it doesn't help sometimes if you do really well in the pod phase
Mm.
because it doesn't humble you at all. It only makes you worse.
Yeah.
So mentality wise, that's an area, where we could look at ourselves and be like, hold on a second, guys.
Are we
We are
really that good?
only as good as everyone else around us.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to have, because we definitely got humbled last year against
Hmm.
Spain,
Mm.
who took us to a draw when we really weren't expecting it. And
Hmm.
that kind of focused us in a little bit going into the seed phase.
Mm.
So,
So round 4,
mhm.
we both of our teams took a loss on round 4.
Oh,
Although
yes.
England played France, and that was I think round 4, England played France, USA played Poland,
Mhm.
and
Oh,
everyone was like,
huge.
"Whoa, okay, the games are starting now, right?" Like
Mhm.
straight off the bat, all the teams going at each other. It's kind of crazy, right?
Yep. Mhm.
So on France, you ended up playing against Nicholas with his guard.
Oh, yes. So, Nicholas, I think, ended up as one of the best players of the event. Yes, he came fourth in
Yep,
terms of individual ranking
very
with
well,
112 points, winning every game except the one
and
which we played in this round.
a double Rogel Dawn list.
Yeah, double Rogeltorn
Mm,
and two indirect pieces, both
yep.
kind of Basilisk variants.
Hmm.
And he still had the 18 Bulgrin and some Chimera as well, with a really cool unit of Scions
Yep.
with the command squad attached. That was a bit of a baller unit.
It destroys infantry for a living, that unit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he just kept like going with the shots, and I was like, "Mate, what's going on?" I chose not to Overwatch this unit because I thought they were just scions.
No,
Um,
because then the ghosts come in and they order them for rapid fire and plus one to hit, and then they hit on twos,
yeah.
rolling ones, exploding sixes, and yeah.
So Nico's list was insane, and we had so much fun playing this game. The
Mm,
pairings were really interesting for England versus France because we got both sides of this matchup. Because Nassim on the guard played against Sako on the T Suns
mm,
on their side,
mhm,
and then we had me playing the T Suns versus their guard. So
mm.
we got a really interesting look into that. Now the
So
big
from that, you netted 6, 8, 14 point swing between you and Nassim playing their Thousand Sons and Astro Militarum as well.
Yeah, I managed to
Mm,
get the 14-6 win, and Nassim got the 13-7 win against
mm,
Sako. Interestingly, Sako and Nassim played on stream, and it actually
mm.
looked like it was going much worse for Sako than that.
Ah.
On my game, I don't think I'll ever get any higher than 14-6 on that game.
Mhm.
And Nico went on to, to really pummel some T Suns player, including even Brian in the last
Yeah.
round. Managed to take Brian all the way down to a 119 loss. So
And
that guard list can be really dangerous for T Suns.
and also Tony Chu taking an 11-9 against Hugo here in the Aldari Mirror. Tony actually had a great tournament, and
Yeah,
not
interesting, isn't it?
yeah. I mean, not with all respect, Tony, not the player I would have picked. But he had a fantastic tournament, and Hugo on Aldari is arguably one of the best Aldari players in the whole room there.
Mm.
So congrats to Tony on that one.
Yeah,
That's a nice win, man.
Tony
Take
ended up
that.
playing against Sean Naden as well. So he
Yeah,
played for quite a fair few Eldari mirrors, and Tony's list is not designed for the mirror.
yeah.
He
Does he have any
has
Dark Reapers?
no, he has no Dark Reapers. He
Ah,
has so much anti-tank in the list
hmm. What a
that
beast.
it's like 3 Dark Lancers kill 1 Aspect Warrior.
Yeah.
It's like,
But you guys had a couple of blowouts in this one, right? Which really ended up costing you. So this is an 88-72. But You guys won 5 out of 8 games, and you had
We did.
2 0-20s, which is, yeah, I mean, I think it's difficult to comprehend, but
This is devastating. Yeah, I
yeah,
think.
it must be super tough when you get that close, despite having still 2 0-20s.
I mean, someone had to eat Olivia, is the
Mm.
thing. Because Olivia's Black Templar list, the best performing list at the event,
Hmm.
he won the War Master singles. Someone has to eat that because, and this is a big thing which we hadn't really considered, is the power of hordes
Mm.
in the meta. They're so incredibly powerful in teams.
Yep.
None of us could really play against Olivia's list.
And it's search and destroy in round 4 as well.
So someone had to bite the bullet. And Alex Harrison was the one who bit the bullet in our matrix, in our pairing system. And he just went in and it was a 0. Like his prediction almost immediately from the start was a 0.
Yeah.
So we knew we were going into this with 1-0, and his sacrifice was to allow the rest of us to win all our games.
Mm.
And we almost did it. But we had one other blowout, which was the master of Team England, which was Manny Chima, the person who usually leads the line with his jump pack and his sand guard. He managed to hit a 0-20 against Matt Bonet's Chaos Space Marines. And Matt Bonet did incredibly. He's one of
Yeah.
the nicest guys to play, and he did so well with this
He-
very intelligent CSM list.
He destroyed this tournament too.
Mhm.
He was like top scorer as well after round 6 or something as well.
He did.
He was still on a tier.
This was a classic case of us not fully understanding the matchup.
Mhm.
Because we have pack bound, we have a CSM accursed list in our 8.
Mm.
This means that Manny has played this matchup, but not against Renegade Raiders.
Mm.
In fact, Manny has even played Renegade Raiders because he was playing it before they got nerfed. But what happened was our predictions and our practice was based on Boris's list. And we thought, okay, there's a little modification here. There's a couple of Predator Destructors. That won't change the matchup much. But actually, Renegade Raiders is very interesting because they have a stratagem for precision,
Mm.
which is really interesting. And it kind of changes this matchup a little bit.
Is that if you're on objective, they get precision against you?
Yeah, something like that. Their whole
Yeah.
unit gets precision.
Yeah.
So I think that combined with Manny probably having what was happening in this round was we were playing into a high draw through the entire round.
Right.
And there came a moment where there had to be a decision. Do we push for the win or do we hold for the draw?
Yeah. I
The
know what I
dis-
would have done, but
But let's think about this, Dave. Let's say we held, right?
yeah.
Let's say we held and we got to the other side of this. I think we would have regretted it.
Yeah, no, I would have pushed.
Yeah.
If it was an 85, I would have pushed. And we did that every round. It was an 85. I said, obviously, we push because we've got a little bit of breathing room here. Yeah.
So Manny then went in. I think, he did say very honestly, he could have done a soft push. In hindsight, he would have done a soft push rather than the hard push. But I think if we'd said nothing to him, he would have gone for the hard push anyway. That's just Manny. And when he went in, he managed to kill lots of stuff, get into a good position. And then his Sand Guard got hit by some accursed cultists, AOC. He took 8 wounds. And then he rolled 7 ones. And then the game changed. The entire board state looks completely different at that point. And this
That's
can
rough.
happen. This can happen. And I think he was never able to get momentum back from that.
Yeah. That's a tough one.
So it ended up spiraling down to a 0.
And that's the beauty of teams, isn't it? You can win 5 out of 8 tables, but it depends on how much you win by, doesn't it?
So we ended up losing this game by not too much. We were 3 points off the draw. We ended up swinging all the way down from being on a high draw to being a small loss.
And at the same time, taking 2 0-20s against the team that ended up winning the entire tournament, only losing by 3 points, right? I mean, there's a really big positive aspect to that as well, right?
There is, but I think this broke us this round.
Okay.
Because I think we played so fantastically in this round, Dave, across the board, because we were high. Our spirits were high. We practiced so hard for this, and we did everything right, and it still didn't work out.
Yeah, it can be tough when that happens. Yeah,
and that was very tough. And I think the sadness didn't really leave us for the entire rest of the tournament from here.
Right,
and that's a shame. I think we didn't manage to get our heads out of the ground.
And that's a big part of teams too, isn't it? So because this is a good segue into our round, we played against Denmark, and the Danes are awesome. and we took a 71-89 loss here, and we took some hard lessons here too. Our Blood Angels getting 20-0'd by Admech. He just deployed everything on the line and went first. Great.
Oh, okay.
We took a 20-0. Our Eldari against World Eaters took a 20-0, and very similar situation for us because 4 points in versus your 3 points for the draw here as well, and it can be tough when some players on your team take huge losses and you're so close, right? It's really easy just to point the finger sometimes and say, oh, you didn't perform good enough or whatever like that, right? But it's actually the entire team's responsibility to question and make sure that the matrix is accurate, right? You can have players that might have a bad round, and okay, that's fine. But when you go into a matchup that you think is good, but it turns out is awful, it's not just on the player piloting that list, right? It's actually on the team as well to say, hey, look, are we sure that Admech is good or is bad against Blood Angels or whatever, right? I was lucky because I had the luxury of saying I don't know it, so I'm not playing against it. But that was that round. I was like, I'm not playing that because I don't know. I'd rather just kill some Necrons.
Necrons.
Yeah, I know Necrons. So I played against a guy called Killy, wicked guy. Stand in his deployment zone and try and get 5 points. He took fixed, and he took engage and deployed teleport homers.
Oh my god, he went for the full blunt.
I was lucky, mate. Andy had a canoptic spider, so this guy was really, mate.
He was holding the line.
He was holding the line. But I got lucky because it was linchpin, so he couldn't hold any objective that wasn't his own, and so he could never get better than 3 primaries. So that's a mission where if your opponent doesn't really leave the battlefield, their deployment zone, it can be hard. Although I'm not gonna lie, Vic, my Mutilith Vortex Beast rolled a devastating wound against his monolith.
Oh,
the first time I shot it, 12 damage. It was a bit brutal. Killy was awesome, man. Such a great opponent. He actually he helped me out there with the secret mission in the end when I was trying to figure out how can I block a Silent King, and I was like, oh, if you do this, you can't. And I was wrapping with Coldless, and you could jump up, jump down, and then there was one scenario I hadn't considered, which was he could charge, and his minions could wrap around my Coldless and then potentially consolidate onto the objective. And he was like, hey, you're a great dude. So I'm just going to let you know I can do this charge. And then I went, okay, right. So I do need to kill those with Magnus. So, awesome guy, awesome team. But this was actually the best round for us, I think, because it brought us back down to the level, I think, that we can lose and we can take really big losses. And so people were pretty deflated after this. But so it was our first loss. And for a lot of the guys, it's their first loss at WTC. And I said, everyone, let's get outside, get away from the noise in the hall because it's quite noisy. And I said, let's just go sit outside under a tree somewhere and just talk about the round and what we thought. And I said to the guys, I said, look, I know a couple of guys took O20s this round. We really misjudged some matchups. But I said, I'll give you some perspective. Team England also took 2 O20s this round by misunderstanding the matchups. And I said, it just goes to show you guys, it doesn't matter if you're in the tier 2 or if you're in the tier 1. It can happen to the best players in the world. And that kind of helped ground us a little bit. So thank you to you guys.
No worries.
There, but
we got the pep talk at nighttime.
Got the pep talk, yeah.
We did, because now the day's ended. So we got a little pep talk, and we kind of managed to get back alive a little bit because we realized, okay, you know what, one loss, you can still win the WTC. Let's crack on.
Exactly.
And we ended up playing Germany in the morning.
Yep.
And Germany is a really cool team, but they're kind of rebuilding it. Lots of new players in there, but they still have some players who have extreme experience. They have Grisha, Arna in there, and this round actually went really well for us, Dave.
Yeah, you guys smashed it.
Yeah, it went really, really well because Chu somehow managed to get 10-10 versus Dark Angels.
Nice.
No idea how he did that, but
another great result.
Yeah, good job, bro. And then Chris Radford held on for the 11-9. Boris got a 10-10. Me and Arna played the Thousand Suns Mirror, which was really interesting. Arna went second, which is the only differential really between us.
And this is the ritual, right?
No, this one's not the ritual. This is just a normal mission. Ritual is 6. Ritual is the next one.
Yep.
So this one, it's never going to go beyond this 9-11 one way or the other. If I had hit one more secondary, it's a 10-10. If I'd gone second, it's a 10-10. So basically, this game between us, both of us having lots of experience on T-Suns, it was always just going to end up around here.
Yep.
But yeah, me and Anna blunted each other with that one.
Nassim coming up with a 19-1 against Grisha.
Nassim comes in with a 19-1.
What a beast!
What a beast! Oh my god, where did that come from?
Let me guess. You put the 3-up save on the Bullgren.
I don't know what.
Maybe not.
Mate, I have no idea. I didn't even ask him about that one, but he managed to beat Grisha with the. But the thing is, Grisha was playing the penitent, so it's slightly different, right? So maybe Nassim, with all his transports and his 2+ save, hellhounds and stuff, Grisha probably just doesn't have damage, right, to get through that. Manny managed to get a small win, 12-8 versus the Grey Knights. Alex won the Leagues of Votan Mirror with an 11-9, and Chris Kinnair put the Necrons back into their tombs with a 16-4 win against Valentine.
He silenced the king.
He did. Valentine, one of the best Necron players in the world, isn't he? So
for sure,
fair play, and a lovely guy.
Nice, man. That's a good way to bounce back, though, against a good team like Germany, right?
Yeah, 98 win here is great. Yep. That's a nice big, 12-point surplus to it. So
we
chance.
We had the Netherlands, which is such a sick game.
Matchup. Nice.
So we were talking shit the whole time, saying we really want to play the Netherlands, which is of course Ruud, Dino, Dan, Dirk, and stuff like that, which was awesome. I played against one of the new players called Ron. It was his first time at WTC playing Tyranids. This guy kept me to the lowest score I'd played all tournament, and he played really well. And Tyranids is usually like double Doom Bolt, indirect, charge Magnus is unkillable. You're like tabling them as fast as possible. Guy played super well, man. Really lovely guy. So I think he's going to be a big prospect for Netherlands, actually. I was very impressed at how he played. Analyzed the game very well. It was a very clear discussion. We had our Hayden played Dan to a 6-14. Finn, our captain, played against Ruud, who they both had an absolutely epic game as well. So it was cool to see both those guys play. 11-9 loss for us. We had me 14-6 against Nerds. We had Cam, our Grey Knights, 12-8 against Blood Angels. Fair enough. Jonty, we had as a 10-10. Then we had Dan, Hayden, our Tyranids playing their guard, which is just like the biggest 10-10 draw. I went second. It's 11-9. Alex Taus played Dick on Eldari to 12-8, and then Dino beat our sisters 12-8 as well. And our sisters player rolled 1 on 4 hunter killer missile shots, all on 2-1. Yeah, well, he was kind of salty after that, but awesome. So we managed to scrape the 84-76 draw there, and we're happy because our goal is to draw against Seed 1 teams. So we're really happy with that. So on to round 6 though, because round 6 and 7 are the last rounds of the event.
That's it.
And this is a bit of a funny one because we played the exact same team we played on the exact same day, and I played the exact same matchup. We played in Scotland, which is awesome because it's a really cool way to benchmark how far your team has come. And we were feeling really confident into this one. It ended up being an 85-75 draw for us. So 1 point there. But yeah, there were a bunch of great games. Our, I think it was one of our star players, Jonty, on the double monolith Silent King, beat Innes Wilson 12-8. What a beast, right? I had all the faith in him. I played Ryan Kerr on his Tau, 15-5 for me. I also went second, and both his Riptides exploded. Nice.
Oh my god, beautiful.
That was brutal, mate. He was playing the Ret Cadre, which was interesting, but it is quite vulnerable to the Arcane Vortex Infernal Master just overwatching whatever it wants to do.
Yeah, the Ret Cadre can collapse actually against T-Suns.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. We had Michael Taylor, 11-9, our Sisters vs. Custodes. Cam Wilkinson coming in with the Drago turn 1 charge, a 19-1 against Tim here on Skark's CSM list. I think he charged turn 1. He went second, charged turn 1, killed 2 tanks, tagged his whole. So a beast coming out there with a 19-1. Our Tyranids lost to Ricky Sims, 17-3, and then a bunch of draws there. So yeah, it was a close one, man. Alex Taus was playing against Chris Irvine, World Eaters vs. Blood Angels there, and we were, the game was going quite late. So we were all waiting for that result to come in. He needed a 6. And just couldn't quite scrape the 6. So
85, so close.
Oh, so close. We thought it was an 88. and then realized that one of our players had done the secret mission incorrectly.
Oh
So then it was an 85. So we'd actually all shaken hands, and commiserations for Scotland, and then they needed to recount, and then it was an 85. So
no.
it was a great laugh. So
That's
it
funny.
was always a pleasure playing the Scots. They're actually all a great bunch of guys, and it was awesome to play the same team again, really,
Mhm.
in the same round. Yeah. What about you guys? Round six.
So we played USA. This is a big
Oh,
one. This is a
spicy.
huge game
And this
because
is maybe the most shit talked game matchup in our
oh
team chat.
yes, yeah, and you know the sadness of playing the game that we most want to play. You know the one we most want to win on
Hmm.
the ritual. This
Oh,
mission, the ritual.
oh, what a sleep fest.
Oh my god, the ritual is the ultimate 10-10 mission. And USA being the masters of a draw, you know, they're the passivest, most defensive playstyle players in the world.
Hmm.
Yeah, you heard me. And they were fully primed and ready for this. We ended up with 3 draws in the round.
Yep.
And every other game was 11-9s,
12
except for
8.
one 12-8. There was one 12-8. Everything else was 11-9.
Yep.
The game was decided that it was based on 2 particular matchups, the,
Hmm.
the entire game. One was Chris Kinnear versus Anthony Vanella.
Mm.
This particular matchup has a chance of the sisters blowing out the World Eaters,
Okay. Mm.
and they almost did.
Oof.
The prediction was looking like it was going to be a 17-3.
Mm.
But right at the end, I think Anthony held on, Chris Kinnear clocked out, and Anthony managed to get 40 points on his last turn.
The old secret mission.
Switch that round
Yep.
to a 10-10 and
Mm.
save the day for Team USA.
Yep.
And then the other one, which is our own fault, and I think this is our biggest learning point of incorrect data on our matrix,
Hmm.
was Manny Chima versus Brian's Thousand Suns. Brian
Mm.
is on a triple mutalith Vortex Beast Thousand Suns list, a little bit different to yours because he's got a
With
couple
it.
of Forge Fiends,
Yep.
but way less Rubric Marines.
Hmm.
And Manny has played the T Suns before. And he's played against like Pumbaa's list or my list, something
Hmm.
like that. And in those games, if Manny can pick the board, he can usually hold it to a pretty close score.
Hmm.
You know, he's not getting blown out. He's managed to get his points and end the game
Yeah.
with an okay score or even a draw.
Hmm.
So when we analyzed this, we were like, okay, if we go from 2 Mutalith Vortex Beasts to 3, and he just makes sure he has range with all his Inferno pistols to reach objectives, so he's
Mm.
staged towards objectives, then actually it's easier than having to deal with multiple Rubric squads, which is what actually killed. In our mind, it was like, if you're behind a wall and there's multiple Infernal Masters shooting, that's what really messes you up, and
Hmm.
loads of Exalted on discs slowing you down.
Hmm.
Brian's list has a lot less of that, so therefore, you can get a draw or a small win out of this game.
Yep.
We were a little wrong with that because we ended up getting a 0-20 in this game. So this absolutely flopped for us. So that ended up, unfortunately, losing us the round. USA got 91-69.
Yep.
And it was a little disappointing, to be honest, but it is what it is, man.
Yeah, of course. I mean, USA had a super interesting lineup this year as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had Tau, they had Orcs as well. I remember because I usually like to walk around the tables and watch games when I'm playing as well.
Mm-hmm.
I remember walking over to Chris versus Eric. Chris Radford playing the Silver Tide versus Eric's Crusher,
Mm-hmm.
triple Tyrannofix Rupture Cannon. And I just looked at the board. They both looked at me and I said, yeah, it looks like a dead. They're like, yep. So Chris got the 11-9, which is,
I got to play against Nick Nanavati with
yeah, that's awesome.
with his sisters. We had such a laugh. But he was, as the game went on, he went further and further into a corner
Yep.
as he spawned more objectives in this one little kind of hidden corner. I tried so hard to push into that, man. I had Magnus inside his deployment zone with the Mutalith Vortex Beast, discs flying around trying to break the castle. He went first, and he still managed to score the secret mission to bring it to a 10-10. Damn you, Nick.
Did he go for the unbroken wall, the hold 3?
He went for the whole 3.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I was looking at it last time. Is there any way I can get you off 2 of these?
Hold 3 and dump everything or your whole army on it.
Oh my god, I just couldn't. So I accepted the 10-10 gracefully, and Nick held the line.
There we go. pretty epic round. It's nice to see you two
It
teams
was.
clash as well, right?
And I think we got on really well. I was so happy we got on really well.
Yeah,
There was a little bit of tension here and there in some of the tighter games, but I
of
know I
course.
had such a laugh in my
Yeah,
game. It was awesome.
Nick's awesome as well.
Yeah, he is.
Round
Final round?
7. Oof, man, we New Zealand, we had it. Man, it keeps getting better and better. We played Canada, which
Hmm.
is awesome because Canada is one of those teams that were, maybe they're the strongest in seed 2, maybe not. The only seed 2 team we didn't play were Belgium, but yeah, we were consistently floating in around that range of playing like kind of Austria, Netherlands, Canada, Scotland, et cetera, et cetera. So we managed to come out with the 94-66 win on this one, which is a huge
Oh,
result for us. This was a game of flips, that's for sure. We
mm.
had our World Eaters beating Alex Taus beating Jeremy Atkinson from StatCheck, playing Brian's list. World Eaters versus T Suns is a 20-0 there. We had our Necrons beating their Aldari. It wasn't Drakari with Scourges, but it did have 8 Haywire bikes.
Whoa, wait,
Uh,
hold on a second. Your World Eaters beat their T-Suns 20.
yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
pain. In the ground. Oh, no.
Yeah, that was a nice one. But yeah, our Necrons beat their Eldari 15-5 as well. Jonty coming on that one. We beat their our Tyranids beat their Dark Angels 11-9, and that was kind of just like a go second sort of thing, right? France won
Mhm.
on that. Our Eldari lost to their Guard 7-13. It's fine. I beat their Custodes player Chris Haynes, lovely guy,
Oh, Chris is so
20-0.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome, man. He went for a pretty aggressive line on turn 1, which I can respect. He said he played the matchup a lot, and I was like, all right. And then he made an 8-inch and a 9-inch charge on turn 1. And I was like, well, we're
Game
off to the
on.
races, mate. So, yeah, lovely guy. I didn't know ahead of time, and I had to clarify with a judge. I didn't know he had played the Warden Bricks, and I had to clarify whether or not they have to declare whether or not they feel no pain before you have to declare your temporal surges. And turns out they have to do. If you're the active player, you can make them ask if they are going to declare it. So
Oh.
that matchup is really tough for Custodes. I put
Mhm.
3 Megalith Beasts on all objectives, and and I was like, well, come out and play. So yeah, great one. Our Captain Finn played their Jakari with the 2 Void Raven bombers. We
Yep.
thought this was going to be okay, but I'll tell you what, mate. Void
No, that's
Raven
a very good
bombers,
list, man.
they destroy Marines.
They do.
So Jonathan Bitteridge taking the 16-4 win there. Oh my god, he destroyed. And
Ouch.
then their Tau, Zach Comu. Sorry, I'm going to butcher your name, mate. With the Tiger Shark, actually, coming out with a 14-6 win against our sisters player, Michael Taylor. We underestimated both of these plane lists for sure,
Mm.
but they were both quite good. I think they needed a bit of babysitting, but they can really take players off guard, I think.
I think we were teasing the Tiger Shark as
We
well.
were. And Zach showed us what's up, man.
Zach was putting in comments saying like, I'm the Tiger Shark player. I know the rules. It's fine." And he showed us it was fine.
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, getting the win, capping off the event with a win is
Yes.
absolutely awesome. So we were
Oh.
super happy with that. The Canadians are awesome. We were in the same hotel. So the coaches are awesome. Like I was chatting with Kaz a lot and stuff. So awesome bunch of guys. Really cool team. So that was an absolute pleasure as well.
Fantastic. What a great run, guys. That
Yep.
was you played against a lot of good teams, you know. It was
Yeah.
a good run for you through there.
Mhm.
We ended up against Italy here.
Mm.
No chance of winning, no chance of podiuming now.
So what
We
was
were
the mindset? How were you guys feeling going into this one?
like very tired. We were
Mm.
absolutely exhausted. But I think it affected some of our new players more
Okay.
here. So we had Boris and Chris who actually took quite big losses in this round.
Yep.
First year coming to the WTC, a little bit dejected from now like having no chance at all
Yep.
after the USA round, and they ended up going into games where our predictions were very different from the score that was scored. Boris ended up into the Necrons.
Mhm.
He'd had such an incredible tournament, but he took a 3-17 loss here against the Catan spam.
Yep.
I think we had the wrong thing in the Matrix because we had this as a small win for the CSM, the
Mhm.
Curse Bricks, because we thought the Catan can't kill them quick enough.
Mm.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe I just don't understand the profiles either.
I think, well, yeah, I mean, the precision's quite a big part there as well, because the Katana are all characters, I presume, as well.
Mhm.
Mm.
So yeah, it ended up not being very good for Boris here. He just ended up dying. And then we had Chris Radford playing against the T Suns. Nicola's one of their best players.
Mhm.
He actually didn't turn up the day before and had 2 zeros.
Whoa,
on his thing.
what?
So he missed an entire day of WTC, and Italy had reached this point with two
With two
zeros.
zeros?
Yes,
That's
like
crazy.
automatic zeros. So
And you know that it's already a zero against the T-Sun, so you don't even have to pair against it.
exactly,
That's mental.
that is.
What?
Mhm. So yeah, I know. So Nicola's actually really good. So
Holy, bro.
Nicola ended up playing Chris Radford on the
So
Grey
when
Knights.
this guy turns up, he's a beast.
He was a beast, and but Chris Radford has played Thiessen so much
Yeah,
that I can't think of a Grey Knights player that's going to be more prepared than him, because me and Chris has played over and over again,
yeah.
and still Nicola managed to get a 19-1 into the Grey Knights, even with
Bro.
Chris's list kind of teched incorrectly. I think part of that's going to be Chris not playing it how he should have,
Mhm.
but also part of it is Nicola must have taken advantage of any mistakes as well.
Yeah, crazy.
Chu managed to finally play against a vehicle list instead of just kind of dealing with some nonsense or a mirror, and he managed to get a 13-7 win.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Chris Kinnair took a 7-13 loss. So those were our
Mm.
three losses here.
Mhm.
The rest of us all managing to win our games. So we had three losses, two of them being quite big losses.
Yep.
And then we had two big wins and three smaller wins.
Yep.
That only put us at 82 points. So we weren't able to push through for the win on the round.
Yep.
And we ended up with a draw here. I think if we
Draw for Italy.
won the round, we would have ended up one place above USA, which would have given us some dignity to leave with.
Oof.
But with the draw, it puts us in 7th place. But it could have been worse, actually.
That's a tough one.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that was it. I mean, there was the award ceremony, and that was WTC over, wasn't it?
Oh, what an event! It's
Were there any? What was some of your biggest takeaways? I know mine was that I think any seed one team can lose to, or draw to a seed one team. It kind of felt like. Uh,
Yeah, I think so. I think I've got two big takeaways. One in terms of the competition,
mhm.
and one in terms of preparation. So, the competition side of things, I think that the level of player skill across the board is so incredibly high
Mhm.
that really, I don't think teams really have a player skill advantage,
Mhm.
especially within their own seed.
Yep.
I think any of the players in the seed one teams are as good as any of the other players.
Mhm.
The way you win is from a certain aspect of preparation, like becoming faction specialists, locking down your list, regardless of faction, and just being really good at it.
Mhm.
And then also, I think we probably made one big mistake that after lists came out, we slightly took our foot off the pedal. I think we
Ah.
worked very hard before that, but afterwards, our preparation started getting a little weird and kind of we did much more real life practice than TTS practice.
Okay.
And TTS has a big advantage that when everyone's trying to learn what a weird list does,
Mm.
if one person is playing and using it, then all of us can watch.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
you
that
can
makes
actually
sense. Yeah.
you can be much more efficient after list
Mm.
submission if all of the games are done on TTS. And
Yeah.
before list submission, you want a lot of discussion on like what faction should we do? How do we optimize this?
Yeah.
So in real life kind of works quite nicely in combination with TTS for that.
Mhm.
But after list submission, I think we should just transition completely to TTS practice so that
Mm.
if everyone plays 10 games, it's as if we've played 80 games, you know?
Yeah. And if you want to put Wolf Jail on the board, everyone knows. Oh, this guy's playing Wolf Jail tonight. You can figure out, come and watch and figure out how it
Exactly.
works, right?
And if we do
Yeah.
the Wolf Jail practice game across like 6 of our players,
Yeah.
then by the time it gets to the 4th or 5th one, we would have already worked out, look, this is actually how Wolf Jail wants to play.
Right. Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Or a weird Necrons list. Any faction that you think stood out more than you anticipated it would?
Yeah, I think Necrons was a big miss. Both of us, you had
Yeah.
Necrons, didn't
Uh,
you? But
yeah.
I know France didn't. Neither did
France.
we.
No, France did.
Oh, they had Necrons. My bad.
Oh yeah, yeah. They had a monolith too, man.
Did
I'm
they,
sure
mate?
they had a monolith.
Oh my
Yeah.
god,
Yeah. All the.
terrifying. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Necrons were really good. That's a faction which I think did
Yeah,
great. And then,
Arnold playing them.
what,
Yeah,
what,
I think Necrons were one of the standout of the tournament,
mm,
and there were lots of different variants of it. France also playing a monolith.
mm.
Our player playing the double monolith Silent King as well. They were super good. I think Eldari was a little bit underwhelming, perhaps,
Yeah,
especially.
Eldari definitely not as good as hoped for. Even players like Liam VSL and Hugo.
Yeah,
Hugo got 4 losses in the seed phase.
yeah, crazy, right?
So yeah, pain.
Yeah. Guard were stand out as well as
Oh
being
yes,
very powerful. I think as well, right?
yeah. Nico and
Uh,
Nassim both absolutely kicked
Yep.
ass with that.
Dark Angels, I think, were definitely really solid as well.
Mhm.
Demons, I thought, were a lot better than they. I thought they were. Sweden were also playing Chaos Knights and Imperial Knights. So I wonder where, let me just look it up, where Sweden's player on the Imperial Knights ended up. Where do you think he ended up, Bjorn? In terms of the overall player
I think he
player
took
rankings.
2 losses
Okay.
and he ended up somewhere like 100.
Okay. Let me just bring it up here. Mm-hmm. He
More worse than that?
he had an interesting time, yeah. Yeah, so he had 3 losses at 7-7-7, and then pretty stable actually, 14-11, 10-12 for Imperial Knights. The Chaos Knight player, on the other hand, had a 0, a 2, a 2, but then like a 17-15-14. So
he worked
really
it out halfway
strange.
through.
Yeah. He took a 0 against his seed 14, which is it's
Ouch.
a bit of a shellacking. Yeah, so I mean, WTC was epic this year. I think all teams have probably going back to their debrief, knowing probably what they need to improve upon. I think,
Yeah,
right?
that's it. And I think there's a lot to learn and grow from in this. And, I'm
Mhm.
very excited to see how New Zealand does next year.
Yeah.
That's your year, hopefully, to push into seed 1, mate.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. We got some good stuff to improve upon. We're going to try and be a bit more active throughout the year, actually.
Mhm.
So we're going to try and do a few scrims to keep the team active. We're going to grow the community. I know that this is going to grow the community massive as well, which is the most exciting part, I think, as well.
Absolutely.
And
Maybe a little Team England, Team New Zealand scrim at some point.
yes,
Oh,
let's get it going.
bit of
That's what I'm
spice,
talking
bro.
about. Even if it's just a kick around, with the
Yeah.
ball, right?
Yeah.
I think it's really important just to keep players in the team's mindset,
Mhm.
because it's kind of easy just to blank off, blank on singles teams as well there. So yeah, I would love it, and yeah, that's all up from here. There
I'll
we
make
go.
sure that happens for sure.
Awesome. Any closing
Brilliant.
remarks, man?
That's it. Yeah. Thank you to everyone. And in our team, the coaches we had were immense. And so were all the players and also the media team.
Yep.
And also the organizers and all the lovely opponents that we played at the WTC.
Thank you very much. Episode 59, WTC Recap. We're going to be getting some WTC participants on over the next week or two, so look for that as well. Cheers, guys.
See ya.